My dear students, today I will be explaining to you about the function of ecosystem. So, function, function of ecosystem means how an ecosystem works or operates under natural conditions. The ecosystem functions through several biogeochemical cycles and energy transfer mechanisms. So there is flow of energy which takes place in unidirectionally, and there is a cycling of nutrients which takes place in a cyclic manner, and we have food chain. So the transfer of food nutrients and energy from the producer, that is source, through a series of organisms of herbivores, carnivores, and decomposers, with the repeated sequence of eating and being eaten is called food chain. And the function of ecosystem happens through food chain. And there is something called as food web. The interlocking pattern of food chains is called as food web. And now let me look at the three biogeochemical cycles. So through which nutrients are cycled. The first one is carbon cycle, and then comes water cycle, and then finally nitrogen cycle. So let us look at the carbon cycle. So carbon is the basic building block of both plant and animal tissue. So plants take up carbon dioxide from atmosphere through their leaves, and they process it, they use it in a process called as photosynthesis. So they combine carbon dioxide and water. The water is absorbed through roots. So these two substances are combined to form carbohydrates. And it is these carbohydrates that make plants the producers, because carbohydrates are required by animals also. So animals feed on plants, and when they consume carbohydrates, they release carbon dioxide during the respiration process. And this is carbon cycle. And now let me consider water cycle. So in water cycle, rainwater falling on land percolates into the ground, and then water is drawn up from the ground by the trees, um, along with nutrients through their roots, and then water transpires from these as water vapor, and then water evaporated from water bodies also go into atmosphere to form clouds. So thus evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, and percolation form endless cycle on which life depends. And water cycle is one of the most important cycles that is responsible for survival of life forms on Earth, be it plants or be it animals. Now, let me consider the nitrogen cycle. So, nitrogen is present in the atmosphere up to something like 80% nearly, but unfortunately, that cannot be directly used. Why? Because nitrogen has triple bond. So, triple bond is because of the triple presence of triple bond, nitrogen atoms are um, bonded very strongly. The two nitrogen atoms in the nitrogen molecule are bonded very strongly, and it's very difficult to break it. So there should be ways of utilizing nitrogen because it's an essential element which supports life. So um, the nitrogen cycle actually starts with uh, fixation. So fixation is the making nitrogen available for utilization by life um, organisms, living organisms. So fixation can be done uh, in three different methods. So one is by atmospheric process, which can happen through lightning. So when lightning occurs during the rainy season, the high energy that is present in the lightning breaks the nitrogen-nitrogen triple bond. So atomic nitrogen is made available, but that happens occasionally. So the statistical probability of such occurrence is, um, we can say that it is rare. So that's why what we need to do is we have a way of converting nitrogen into usable form of fertilizers, nitrate fertilizers. So that is industrial process. So industrial process of Haber. So Haber process of making ammonia. So ammonia is made from by combining nitrogen and hydrogen under pressure. So it forms ammonia. So that ammonia is used to make fertilizers, and those fertilizers are fed to the plants to grow and then give productivity. So that is the second method of making nitrogen usable. And the third one is the biological way. So you can use nitrogenase enzyme. So that can break the nitrogen-nitrogen triple bond. So that is done by bacteria. Bacteria produces this enzyme. So out of these three, um, we out of these three uh, agricultural fields, we use the fertilizers, and of course in the normal plant and plant growth, uh, the biological method takes place. So nitrogen cycle is the movement of nitrogen occurring between atmosphere, biosphere, and geosphere. Let me show you the diagram how the cycling of nitrogen takes place. So it starts from atmosphere. So nitrogen fixing bacteria processes nitrogen and breaks the bond and makes ammonia. And then ammonia um, using nitrifying bacteria is converted into nitrites. And these nitrates again is converted into nitrate by nitrifying bacteria. And this nitrate is uptaken, is taken up through roots by the plants, and they make proteins out of it. And these proteins are consumed by animals, producing animal proteins. Okay, and when these animals are dead, so they get decomposed, and then during decomposition again you get ammonia, and this ammonia undergoes again the same process which was previously taken place, and this nitrate um, is now consumed by denitrifying bacteria. So denitrifying bacteria um, takes care of the decomposition of nitrate into um, atmospheric nitrogen, so elemental nitrogen. So this is how the cycling of nitrogen takes place. So fixation is done by bacteria, or it is done by Haber process, or it can be done by light. So in any of these cases, so nitrogen bond has to be broken and made available for the bacteria for the cyclic process of undergoing formation of ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. And from that, plants produce protein, and this protein is consumed by animals, and they also produce their own proteins. And when these plants and animals die, again, saprobionts, another type of bacteria that would decompose these proteins into ammonia. And then ammonia becomes nitrite, and then nitrate, and then denitrifying bacteria takes it back to atmosphere. So this is how the cycling of nitrogen takes place. Thank you very much.